need to order your people back into the jungle. Hide.
We stand and fight. Run, war blood, before I spill it.
One TARDIS Guy 123 here, and today, as you can see, I am reviewing Dark Eyes 3. Now, I reviewed Dark Eyes 4 quite a couple of months back when it first came out, and now I'm going back to November 2014 to review Dark Eyes 3, the third box set out of the 4, and Dark Eyes 3 and 4 are the only two that I have got. I haven't got 1 and 2 yet, though I do hope to pick them up at some point and complete the anthology, so to speak, complete the series. So anyway, let's dive right into this as we usually do. A rather simplistic cover here with, I presume that's Time Vortex, or this version of Time Vortex, title sequence, whatever, in the background here. You've got the 8th Doctor there, and the Master right there. You've got the new logo right there behind them both. You can see it's behind rather than front, and then Dark Eyes 3 in the typical Dark Eyes text down there, starring Paul McGann, who plays the Doctor, Ruth Bradley, who plays Molly O'Sullivan, Nicola Walker, who plays Liv Chenka, Natalie Burt, who plays Sally Armstrong, and Alex McQueen, who plays the Master, as you can see right there. And you can already see the spine a little bit, but there's a better look at that. Pretty much the same as the cover, not exactly the same images of the Doctor and the Master, but same basic concept there, and you can see the stories out of Death of Hope, The Reviled, Master Plan, and the Rule of the Eminence. And on the back here you have the overall synopsis for the whole box set, and it's written by Matt Fitton, all 4 stories are, and directed by Ken Bentley. So there's that, basically most of the same stuff you've seen before. Here's the top, I've just got 2 Dark Eyes 3 written on it. Here is the bottom right there. Maybe it's better if I step out. I might as well not show it. I don't think anyone really cares about what's on the bottom of the packaging. Here is the side where you can see all 3 of the cases right there. So yeah, that's pretty much Dark Eyes 3 box set. Now onto the individual stories themselves and my opinions. Starting off with the Death of Hope.
My name is Hope Gardner, Colony Row 351. We need help.
The Infinite Warriors are closing in. You saved us before. Bring the lady with the dark eyes. Bring Molly O'Sullivan. You can save us all.
Okay, so here is Death of Hope. Let's get that into shot there. You've got Doctor Who, Paul McGann and Ruth Bradley in Dark Eyes 3, The Death of Hope by Matt Fitton, featuring Natalie Burt, who you can see right there as Sally Armstrong, Sean Carlson, who plays Narvin, and Alex McQueen as the Master, who you can see there wearing a rather cool Stetson. And you've also got Molly O'Sullivan with kind of like DNA stuff going on around here. You've got the double helix there and whatnot, and some stuff being mixed in with it by the looks of things. Brand new adventures, broadcast audio drama in sort of like the Dark Eyes font. This isn't the standard Doctor Who font that they use for these releases, and they have the audio adventures of Doctor Who written on the side. Here is the spine once again, as you saw earlier. This one's actually quite, it's a bit different to Dark Eyes 4. If you remember, that sort of like had an individual colour for each story, which was also represented on the spine. But this one has the same bluish effect for all 4 of them. Which do I prefer? I'm not too sure, to be honest. I don't think I really have a preference. So yeah, here is the synopsis here and the full cast down there. And now, not to be sold separately, as you can see. Now let's open it up and have a look on the inside. You can sort of see the writer's notes there on the other side of the booklet, and just one disc, because it is just one 50-minute episode in the same style as the new series. It's sort of like continuing the trend from the, what's it called, the 8th Doctor Adventures, where they started following the new series style with 45-minute to an hour episodes. But yeah, if I can now just get this booklet out, and you can see the rather nice concept art in the middle there. You have the Master, Molly O'Sullivan, Sally Armstrong, and then the TARDIS in the background there, and the Master's TARDIS. along the desert planet, which is Heron's World. It's quite a nice image there. They don't really include these on many releases anymore, the concept art in the middle. It's mainly Dark Eyes, and I think that's it really. So they really the box sets they do it on. They didn't do it for Fifth Doctor box set or the or the New Adventures of Bernie Summerfield though, so I'm not sure entirely what their policy is on that now. But anyway, back to The Death of Hope. What do I think about the story itself? Now, this is very much a Dr. Light episode in a sense. He doesn't play an active role in the proceedings as such. He is still there. Paul McGann does play a very good part in this story, but it's mainly the Master who you should be interested in for this story. It's almost like the Master doing a Doctor in a way, but he's got his own sinister motives behind what he's doing. As you know, sort of like turning up in this town and offering help, but should they take it? And you know, it's quite a bleak story in a way, because it's sort of like the women and the elderly and the children that have remained on this sort of like colony of Heron's World, whereas the adults went off to fight and were wiped out by the Infinite Armies. So it's sort of like a desperate situation going on there for them, and the Master shows up with Sally Armstrong and Molly O'Sullivan offering aid. That's the basic synopsis of this story, and I think it's quite an interesting idea, and of course it gives Alex McQueen's Master a chance to shine. This is the first proper story I heard him in, and I instantly fell in love with him. He is amazing as the Master. He sort of gets that suave sensibility from Roger Delgado, but still makes the role very much his own. He doesn't do what Anthony Ainley did, which is sort of like copy Roger Delgado, and that's not necessarily Anthony Ainley's fault. I think it's more John Nathan Turner and the writers who wanted to take it in that direction. But with Alex McQueen, the writers want to take it in a slightly different direction, and he follows that and takes it in a very different direction. So I get the mad ramblings that you have with the new series Masters, but he is still very much in control of himself, and isn't going to get this army that he wants and then immediately give it to the Doctor for no apparent reason, expecting him to use it to conquer the galaxy. Yeah, not sure what was happening there with Death of Heaven, but Death of Hope, however, sort of like is very much him plotting, shows him as a mastermind, and this whole box set is sort of like represented as Doctor versus Master, and that works very well for this box set, because you sort of like get to see Master building up his plan and changing it over the whole course of the box set. And at the start here, you get to see it's very much in full swing, and it's really just nice to see the Master in control, and without the Doctor there to kind of like bother him in a sense. You know, you get to sort of see him shine on his own. And while Paul McGann and Alex McQueen do play off each other very well, which I will go into more depth when we talk about Master Plan, but here he very much holds this story down. He does a very good job of it, and you know, it's sort of like the main war story for this, where it's caught up in the war between the Eminence and the humans, and the Eminence does play a very good part in this story. Maybe not necessarily in the whole box set though, but in this story the Eminence are strong and the Eminence are a powerful threat. You really do get that feeling in this story. And yeah, that's basically all I've got to say about the Death of Heaven. Now let's move on to the Reviled.
Remosans are not part of this war. Maybe I speak to Eminence, so when it wins this war, it will be a friend to Ramosa.
So here is the Reviled, right there. Just get the light on that. See it? We've got Liv Chenka up here, and the Doctor right there, Ramosa in the background. You might think that monster looks familiar, but actually I'm afraid it doesn't. And you've got sort of like leaves and whatnot around here. Quite a nice cover. Brand New Adventures, broadcast audio drama, as with the last one. Paul McGann and Nicola Walker this time, and down here you've got featuring Natalie Burt, Sean Carlson, and Alex McQueen as the Master. He doesn't play much of a role in this, he's mostly in the background. So it's sort of like swapping it around a bit, with the previous one having the Master in the foreground and the Doctor in the background, and then this one having the Doctor in the foreground and the Master in the background. So And here is the inside, and it's just one disc once again. The 8th Doctor Adventures Series 1 and 2 right there. And now let's take a look at the concept art for this one. That was director's notes, by the way, from Ken Bentley, in case you didn't see that. So here is this one, similar to the front cover in a way, but this time I have Sally Armstrong instead of the Doctor. And you sort of like got a compound going on in the background here. So quite nice, I'd say. Sort of like get the idea that Ramosha is quite a luscious jungle planet in a way, but at the same time there's some sinister stuff going on there. So, and also quickly before I view this, I believe I forgot to rate this story, and I will go ahead and do that now at a 9 out of 10. So now we have The Reviled, which is a very different story to the first one. It's still once again a war story in a way, so they're very much focusing on the Eminence War, especially during the second half. But at the same time it's more focusing a bit on humanity and other races in this one, and the effect it's having all over the galaxy, and also the effect it's having on the Doctor. That is quite a key focus on this, and sort of like the Time Lords as a whole, what they are doing about it, because the Eminence is treated as a very serious threat. And while they don't really come into this until right at the end, it's sort of like about the humans and the Ramosans not getting on this one. It's still very good. Liv Chenka is introduced at this point, well, not introduced as a companion, she was already introduced in Robophobia and Dark Eyes 2, but introduced into the Dark Eyes 3 fold, as it were. This is her first story in this, and she's doing quite well in this, I will say. As my first experience of Liv Chenka, I did quite like her in this. I feel she's very much developed a lot more in A Life in a Day, which comes in Dark Eyes 4, but for here and now, she's a very good character. She's got like the sense of mortality, which I can't go into too much, or else that'll spoil it. That is very strong in this, it's sort of like hiding a secret from the Doctor, which is quite interesting. I feel that it could have been done a bit more with, though, to sort of like a plot thread with her that was a bit underexplored, unfortunately. So yeah, I feel that could have done with a bit more work. And also another thing that's a negative about this story is that it's very much focusing on the struggles between the humans and the native Ramosans, human colonists. And, you know, it well, that could have been done quite well. I feel in here it's done quite poorly, maybe a bit rushed, because it's trying to do a lot of other stuff as well, obviously. And, you know, that side of the story does suffer quite a bit from being underdeveloped, and that also means the characters in that plot are underdeveloped, which leads to them becoming quite annoying, I will say, especially human characters. I don't really feel much for them in this story. Most of the characters a bit more, but still both sides of the fence were fairly annoying to me, which is unfortunate character development, not character development, but unfortunate for the characters there. So I feel that could have been handled a bit better by Matt Fitton. And this is very much the weak point of the story, because not much develops here, if that was sense. You could take this out and still very much understand the entire story. It's more built to stand alone, but while it's trying to do the other stuff as well, the whole suffers. That's not to say it's not enjoyable. There are quite a few enjoyable things in this. Paul McGann is excellent, as is Nicola Walker. Natalie Burt, while I said the Master wasn't in this as much, Sally Armstrong is, and Natalie Burt does an excellent job with that role, very much going toe-to-toe with Doctor in a lot of cases. And Liv Chenka unfortunately has to handle the rather annoying human characters, which she does fairly well, but at the same time, you know, it's those human characters that annoy me, not Liv Chenka. I think she is a great character. So overall, I'd go a 6 for this one, I'm afraid. Probably my least favourite of the box set. Not a bad story, it's flawed. It's the most flawed, and it has quite a bit wrong with it, maybe a bit too much going on, I'm not sure. But now on to the third story, Master Plan.
Hurry, Doctor. Why not take a moment to enjoy the view?
And here is Master Plan, and you've got the Doctor and the Master right there on the cover, and it sort of like tells you everything you need to know about the story, that it's about them two. As I said previously, the Reviled is the Doctor in the foreground and the Master in the background, whereas Death Hope was the Master in the foreground and the Doctor in the background. This places them both in the foreground, has them going up against each other before the explosive finale in Rule of the Eminence. But anyway, there they are in the hull of a spaceship. You've got standard stuff right here on the banner bit. Brand new adventures, forecast audio drama. Here is the spine, if that's going to come into focus a bit more, I don't know. No. Here is the back, not to be sold separately once again. Got all the stuff going on here with the cast and the synopsis. Now let's open up the inside. Take a look there. You've got producer's notes by David Richardson, and take this out, and I believe it's series 3 and 4 right there. So now let's take a look on the inside of this and show you the all-important concept art, and this one's quite a nice one. Got the spaceship there that are trapped inside of, flying about, planet in the background there, and then you have the Doctor and the Master once again, and there is the hull of the spaceship right there behind the Master, and a bit behind the Doctor as well. So it's sort of like blending the two together in a way with the outside and the inside. Obviously that's not to scale. So then, what do I think of Master Plan? I think it is a wonderful story. It's probably my favourite of the set, actually. I'm not sure entirely, because Death Hope is also quite good. But at the same time, this story does very much, as I said, focus on the Doctor and the Master and builds up their relationship and whatnot. Shows you that the different characters and everything. And it's very much a study into each of their characters, which is very nice. I do really like that. I do really like the direction Matt Fitton chose to go with this one. And, having the Doctor and the Master be trapped in the hull of a spaceship is also a nice idea. It makes it a bit more of a chamber piece. It's sort of like, if this was on TV, it'd be the budget-saving episode. But at the same time, it's just nice to have the two of them stuck in a room together, no weapons, and, see how they try and work their way out together off this spaceship while having an interesting conversation along the way about what their plans and goals. And it's quite funny as well at the same time, I will say. That's very good as well. And then at the same time as that, you've sort of like got a mirroring with their companions, with the Master and the Doctor's companions, Liv Chenka and Sally Armstrong. They sort of like get stuck in their predicament on planet, and that's quite interesting as well. And you have a third character who's involved there, who I can't say too much about because he is quite important to the plot overall of Dark Eyes, and he is quite an interesting character, and you get the sense there's something not quite right with him, and you get a sense of what he's building up to in a lot of ways. And yeah, the Liv Chenka and Sally Armstrong both have to deal with him, and some interesting stuff goes on between them two as well, especially for Sally Armstrong. Some quite interesting stuff happens in the climax of this story. So Master Plan overall is probably my favourite of this release. Once again, probably could have built over the main plot a little bit more. It's sort of like the calm before the storm in a way, but at the same time it works very well for this story. Unfortunately, Ruth Bradley isn't involved as much as she probably, isn't involved at all really. Molly O'Sullivan is kind of there, but in a non-speaking capacity, which is unfortunate. And that was, I believe she was originally written in there, but unfortunately Ruth Bradley's, not her contract, sort of like she had other loyalties that she had to go and do, other shows and whatnot, and that sort of distracted a bit from Dark Eyes 3 and meant she couldn't be in it as much as she was the previous two Dark Eyes box sets, which is unfortunate and means she doesn't get to feature in this story, which does sort of let it down a bit, and is the reason I'm going 9 out of 10 instead of 10 out of 10. But now on to the big finale, which is Rule of the Eminence.
They are now under my control, Doctor. We've been here all along. We return for our ultimate victory.
So here is Rule of the Eminence right there. Got the Master and the Doctor and Molly in sort of like the foreground there. And you've got the new Earth, the Earth of the future in the background there, which is quite nicely done, I will say. Paul McGann, Ruth Bradley and Nicola Walker. You can see the gang's all here for this one in Dark Eyes 3 Rule of the Eminence. Standard stuff down there. Brand new adventures, full cast audio drama. And on the side here, you have Doctor Who, Dark Eyes 3 Rule of the Eminence, you know, as you'd expect. Here's the backlist, quite a big cast actually for this finale. There's the synopsis, etc. Seen all this 3 times before now, it's pretty much the same on each one. This one does have 2 discs, one for the story itself, as you can see right there, and the other for the special features, behind the scenes documentary. And here you have some Doctor Who monthly range releases: Eldrad Must Die, Afterlife, Scavenger, Masquerade, Signs and Wonders, and The Widow's Assassin. So let's take a look on the inside of this one at the concept art, which I've sort of been raving over these. Maybe it's because they're not featured as much, it's just nice having featured. But there is that, you've got the Master and then people under his control. Admittedly, they do look a bit CG in a lot of ways. I don't know, it's just, they sort of feel not real, like the Master is there. And then you've got more of the Earth in the background, so yeah, fairly nice, I guess. So yeah, let's put this back in there and then talk about the finale to Dark Eyes 3. To be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of this story. I'm not going to say it's bad. I know some people absolutely hate it, think it's rather poor ending, but I personally think it's a game of 2 halves. The first half is very good. It's sort of like building up to this. It would almost be a cliffhanger if it was a 2-parter, but since it's just 1 hour-long episode, it sort of like builds up to that climax, that midpoint, where it's all coming to a head with the Master's plan. And then after that, after all that excitement of getting it, it just sort of like stops flat. It's a bit like the problem of The End of Time, and actually this has quite a few things in common with The End of Time, where the Master has taken control of the population in The End of Time, sort of like become them, and then it just sort of like stops. There's not much else you can do from there. You just have the Doctor working against the Master and his cronies, and that's sort of like the same thing happens here, which is unfortunate because it means it gets rather flat towards the end, and the second half isn't as exciting, and it's very different as well, because instead of it sort of like being stopping the Master's plan before it can be put into effect, it's sort of like trying to battle against what's happened. So yeah, that could have been done a little bit better. I don't know, it's sort of like you can't really help that because you've been building up the Master's plan for so long, you kind of like need to have it succeed in a way before then being crushed. And also just the structure of the story sort of like ends on that bit might not have worked too well. I don't know, it's just unfortunate how that ended up playing out, and it means the second half is rather dull. It's got some interesting stuff going on in it. Maybe it would work better if it was 2 different episodes entirely, just to sort of like split it up a bit rather than jarring you halfway through. But I'm not sure. That's the way it ends up playing out, and it is rather unfortunate for a lot of people involved. Ruth Bradley, once again, as I was saying before, she does get to play a role in this story, and quite a big one as well. But at the same time, you know, it's not really until the end when she comes into her own as a character, because she's under the Master's influence for the whole story, which unfortunately means she doesn't get that much to do on her own as such, which is rather unfortunate for her and for Ruth Bradley. Now, she does a wonderful job with what she does get given, but it's just she's not been given enough, and it's more to do with circumstance, as I was saying before, with her other commitments and whatnot, meaning that she's going to take as big a role in Dark Eyes 3, and you know, that matched with the plot point of the Master having her under his control does mean that unfortunately it doesn't go too well for her. Nicola Walker, rather, does get a good amount to do in this, but at the same time she does suffer as well, especially during the second half. She doesn't get too much to do. She's more of a plot device in a way during the second half. She's just there to help the Doctor with his plan, which is unfortunate for her. The Eminence sinks into the background here. I forgot to mention the Eminence in Master Plan, but once again it sort of like sinks into the background, and which is unfortunate because the Eminence is a good villain, and this is called Rule of the Eminence, but it probably should have been called Rule of the Master, because the Eminence doesn't really do much of the ruling in this, and doesn't really do much of anything in this, to be honest, and it's a bit treated as a bit of a joke, being manipulated by the Master, which I don't think the Eminence would do. I think the Eminence would be aware that the Master is manipulating it, but you know, that's just the way it ended up playing out, which is unfortunate for the Eminence because it did deserve better. And there's sort of like a mystery about the Eminence, what's happening with it, that's sort of like forgotten at this point. You're not really that interested in that. Well, you are, but you're not really, the script doesn't really make you feel like you should be. It makes you feel like you should be more focusing on the Master's plot, which is unfortunate. And you know, the whole story is, I've sort of been bashing it throughout this Rule of the Eminence, but I do think it does have a lot of good things, especially during the first half. All that build-up is excellent, and it is the reason I am going with a 7.5 for this one. So then, let's put that away and rank the box set overall. Let me share my thoughts on the overall box set. So here we go. Overall, Dark Eyes 3 is a lot of fun, I will say that. I do enjoy this release a lot, especially Master Plan and the Death of Hope in this. The Reviled, not so much. It's a good story, but not to the height of the others, and Rule of the Eminence is good for the first half, but the second half provides a disappointing conclusion to this story and Dark Eyes 3 overall. So that is what I will say about Dark Eyes 3. It is a good box set, and I will go with an 8 out of 10 overall for this one. So I thank you all for watching this review, and I will see you all next time. Bye everyone.
How do you know my name?
Molly!
Look into my eyes. I am the Master, and you will obey me.
No, this didn't happen. It wasn't like this. It wasn't like this. It...